everybody, it's the Old Bear from the Old Bear's Den of Bigfoot. We're back again with the final in a 4-part series. 4 different accounts from one family in South Carolina, and this is the last one. This one is a little bit scary. If you've never seen one of these creatures, this is not the most fun way to actually see one for the first time. Saying that, I want to let you all know that in September, the weekend of Labor Day, is the Squatch Out in Tennessee. I've not been asked to promote this, but we are going. It's Labor Day weekend. It starts on Saturday, ends on Sunday night, and we're leaving Monday morning early. We should be down there sometime Saturday, hopefully by noon. It's a little bit of a drive for us, but we're going, and I want to let everybody know that we hope to see you all there, and we will be at y'all's disposal. Come and tell us your account. Come and tell us, whatever has happened to you out in the woods or at your home or anything of that nature. And feel free to come and talk to us. We're going to be there. We're going to be available there for y'all. And there'll be some activities. I don't know all what is going on, but we'd love to have everybody to show up. We'd like to have a couple hundred people show up, but if we don't, we're still going to be there for everybody to talk to. And we got a roaring fire for you, as you can see it. I'll show you a little bit more. And that's a nice big fire for you, and we're sitting a few feet away from it, and I'm still hot. But anyway, here is the area that we're in. I'm not going to show anything that is telltale. And yes, our camper's there. And back down here, we're going to watch the fire, and I hope you enjoy it. In this encounter, this gentleman goes out hunting. It always seems to happen in the fall, but anyway, he goes out hunting, and he decides he's going to still hunt this little public area that's down there where he hunts. It's been clear cut, and there's a couple of places that have been clear cut on it, and he decides that he's going to hunt through and then cross the clear cut and then go and hunt the other side. Now, it's all public ground, and everybody's allowed to hunt there. And this gentleman is the cousin on the mother's side of the gentleman that had the encounter with the female Bigfoot. When this happened just about 3 years ago. I know these are older counts, but they show what can and what can happen. So that's the reason I bring them to you. So on this encounter, he goes out and he hunts through the first portion of this area. And it takes him about 3 hours to work his way through. He's still hunting through it. And when you still hunt, you walk a little bit and you stop and you wait for a while, and then you walk a little more and stop and look around, and you're trying to pick up on a deer before the deer sees you moving around. But anyway, he's having a good morning. He's seen a few does that he's walked up on in that first section, and he gets to the clear cut and he says, well, it's 10:30 in the morning. I'm gonna sit here and wait a little bit, and I'm gonna eat me a sandwich that he's got with him. He's got a couple of I can't remember if he said peanut butter and pickles or something he had on there with the peanut butter. It was a little bit different. I don't think I've ever tried it, but to each his own. Everybody has different tastes. And he sits down and he's sitting there looking over the clear cut, and he gets his first sandwich done and he's looking around. And he notices movement on the other side of the clear cut, and he's like, what was that? And he starts looking through his scope and he sees a buck deer, and this deer is starting to disappear in the other block. He's thinking this thing got up and started moving around, because at that point in time in the year that these deer are in rut, and when I mean in ruts, when they're chasing the girls. You know what it means. If you're a little bit older, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so at this point, he wolfs down what's left of his other sandwich, and he gets up and he sneaks across the clear cut and goes in the woods just a little bit on the downwind side of where he saw that deer go in the woods. And he's going through the woods. And he's taking his time and he's being very quiet. And he's walking through. And he goes through this first little section of woods and doesn't see the deer. So he's standing there. And then he sees something move again. Well, he thinks it's that deer that he was looking at, and it was a buck. And he starts following it. Well, he gets there to that section of the woods of where he saw the movement, and he's looking around. He doesn't see the deer, and he doesn't see what was moving. And then he catches movement again off to his right, out of his peripheral vision. And at that point, he turns and he goes towards it again, and he loses track of it. This is the third time he's lost track of this. Whatever is moving faster than he thinks it should be. So he finally works his way to the top side of this piece of woods, and he stops and he sits down behind a big tree where he can see a big portion of this open woodland. It's fairly open in that, most of the way down the hill. And he's sitting there looking, and he's looking, and he's not moving, and he goes to turn, and he sees something brown over beside this tree. And at this point, he thinks it's that deer that he looked at that went into the clearing. Well, it's not a deer when he looks through the scope. Although it does have the head of a deer in one hand. And it's got its back to him. And he sees that head kind of flopping around. So he wants to shoot at this thing, but he's not sure of what it is. He's not sure it's a deer. So he gets up quietly and starts sneaking out the ridge. There's a trail on the ridge that he can follow, and it brings him within 30 feet of this thing. And on the way over there, he hears something that's like bone crushing, and like it's ripping into flesh, and and he gets over there and he sees what it is, and it's not a deer. It's eating a deer, but it's not a deer. And at that point, the thing stops moving and then turns its whole upper body around to where it can see him. Now, he's almost even with us. It didn't take much turning for it to do. But it looks at him and starts growling at him. And then all of a sudden it just gets up. He said this thing had to be 8 foot tall, maybe 9 feet tall. It was broad through the shoulders, big muscle arms, big muscled up chest. Even with all the hair on it, he could tell it had muscle on top of muscle. And it scared him. And this thing starts towards him from 30 feet away. He's frozen. And the whole time the thing's come up there and it's growling at him. And I guess it stepped on a twig or a tree branch or something and it cracked. And when that cracked, it brought him out of being frozen enough to where he had enough thought to go, this thing's going to kill me. So he flips his safety off and shoots from the hip with his rifle. This thing tears off the hill, past where it was sitting, runs down in there and hides behind a couple of trees. And he's standing there and he's like, oh my God, what am I gotta get out of here. Now he's a mile from his vehicle. So he's trying to figure out the best way to get back to his vehicle. He knows the lay of the land. If he gets back out that ridge, all he's got to do is when he gets through past the clear cut, is cut at like almost a 45-degree angle, and he'd be down to where he parked his vehicle. So he's thinking, all right, this thing's gone. I don't see it no more. It's time to go. He starts back out of there. And he doesn't walk. He runs. And he gets almost to the clear cut, and he's getting a little winded, and he stopped for a second, and he can hear this thing busting through the brush from the lower part of that bowl that's in there, coming right straight at him. He takes off at a dead run across that clear cut and gets to the point of the edge of the clear cut where he knows he can take a 45 and go straight over the hill from there at a 45-degree angle and get to his vehicle. At this point, he's probably close to a quarter of a mile to maybe a third of a mile from his truck. And this thing is coming hard. And I mean hard. It is coming as fast as it can run. And he goes, and he's running as hard as he can. And this thing is making all kinds of noise. And he had to stop. He looked back towards the ridge line, and this thing is running across the clear cut. It's gaining. And he takes off at a dead run. All he's got left, he's running as hard as he can. He gets down to his truck, and this thing is coming through those open woods, and it's coming as hard as it can. It's coming for him, and he knows it. He starts throwing lead at it. He's only got 4 shots left in his high-powered rifle, and every time he shoots, this thing stops. So he got the bright idea to get his keys out, open the door, and shoot, and get in the truck, and start the truck and leave. So he does that. He got in his truck, and it's 2 or 3 seconds and this thing stops. And it finally, when he shoots the last time, he's out of bullets. He throws his gun in the truck. He dives in his truck, starts the truck, and starts to peel out. Well, he's not sure if he shut his tailgate or if this thing ripped the tailgate down. And it had grabbed a hold of it. He didn't know, but the thing stood there as he drove off. He looked in the rear view and saw it in the side mirror and saw it standing there. And he heard his tailgate drop. So he got home, and in his tailgate, there's a handprint 4 fingers on one side and a thumb on the other, and you can see where it grabbed a hold of it and crushed the top of the tailgate. Now, this is an older model truck, so they're made out of metal, and it crushed the metal that was at the top of the tailgate. He's never been back to that area since then. He had talked to people in his family that he could trust, and when his cousin had his incident and he started talking, he told about his, and then that's how the cousin ended up getting the guy that had the female Bigfoot coming after him, wanting to date or go out on a date or whatever she was wanting. That's how he found out about his grandfather, his oldest brother, his first cousin on his dad's side, and the first cousin on his mother's side is the one that had the real bad instance of this thing running him out of the woods. And the one guy said it when he went back. He's never went back there, but other people that go in there have said there's always that feeling that something's watching you, and you never hunt that area anymore. There's hardly anybody that goes in there that hunts. And then when somebody does, they don't stay long. They leave. So this thing's either living there, or it has decided to take up full residence and claim it as his and run everybody out. One way or another, he gets everybody out of there. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you take it for what it is. It's an account by someone that saw Bigfoot the first time in his life. The guy hasn't really hunted in years, and so he's had a rough time. Say a few prayers for this guy. He needs it, and I hope you like this one, and I hope you leave me your comment. Do you think he was right by shooting at this thing to get it to stop long enough to get in the truck, or do you think that maybe he should never have shot at it? He didn't know what it was. It was coming at him. So let me know your feelings on this, and we'll see you on the next one. And this is the old bear and Mrs. Bear saying good night.
Good night.
Bye now.